Centauri Perfumes was a fragrance house that I just had to get my nose on. I was really excited to try this lineup. I've come towards the end of my sample kit and I'm ready to give you my thoughts. Hey, how's it going YouTube? Raj here. I hope all of you out there are doing well. So, Centauri Perfumes, this is a line that was set up by one of our own, a fragrance YouTube sort of content creator, Peter Carter, from the channel FragranceView. Peter's channel is one of my favorite channels. I always look forward to his uploads. He does a lot of live streams, which are pretty cool. And it's been really interesting watching him document the development of this brand, the development of himself as a perfumer, and also, just the development of himself as a person. It's been something that I really look forward to watching. And yeah, this brand, when I heard about it, I had a good feeling about it. This is all his idea. This is all his money. This is all his time and investment. The whole concept started from him. He's a self-taught perfumer, and this is absolutely incredible to see what he has created. So the brand was launched in 2019 in December, specifically on the 22nd at 4:19 a.m. This was to be in line with the winter solstice, which is the moment in time when the North Pole, or when the Earth is tilted in such a way that the North Pole is the furthest away from the sun, and is the moment in time when there's the least amount of daylight, I believe. This is not my area of expertise, but I think that is the case. The name Centauri derives from Alpha Centauri, which is a star system. And within this star system, there is a star called Proxima, which is the closest star to Earth. I think it's been really interesting finding out about not just how this brand was developed, but the inspiration behind this brand. There's inspiration taken from ancient civilization, ancient cultures, which I'll touch on later on, the universe, the Earth itself. And I think conceptually, this is probably one of the best brands I've seen. There are three collections: the past, present, and future. The past is represented in red, or the bottles are in red, which is inspired by fire and man's discovery of fire and the development, or the origins of civilizations as we know them. The present comes in white bottles, which is to represent the age of technology that we live in today, in today's modern world. And the future collection is in blue bottles, which is inspired by space, the universe, and man's exploration of our universe. The past collection is made up of mainly natural oils. The present is a mixture between natural and aroma chemicals or synthetics, and the future collection is made up of mainly, or if not completely, synthetic ingredients. So I picked up the sample pack from the website. I'll leave a link down below, and it came in this pretty cool looking pouch with Centauri Perfumes on the front. And the samples all look the same. I'll show you one of them. This is Dendera. And one thing that I thought was quite a nice touch is that they come with these cards which show the bottles. There's a little description, and on the back it has the note breakdown. So I'll show these when I talk about each individual fragrance. I've got to say, the bottle designs are some of the best I've seen. At the base of the bottle there is a little pyramid shape, and so it's obviously inspired by ancient pyramids. The cap is inspired by the Mayan calendar, and the star on top of the bottle is to represent the star of Proxima, which it was interesting to find out actually from Peter, because I had no idea about this, that there was an ancient civilization known as the Sumerians, and they carved this star onto stone. So let's take a step back in time and specifically go to the ancient Egyptian civilization. This was something that was inspired by Peter's travels to Egypt, and I think he has a fascination with ancient civilizations and how basically the human race has developed and evolved over time. Dendera specifically is an ancient temple. Actually, you know what? Let me just read out the description. It says here, inspired by the beauty and mystery of ancient Egypt, Dendera temple is built upon an even older temple buried beneath its foundations. The famous Dendera light bulbs featured on the walls of a sacred room. The richness of culture captured in the richness of their perfume in the land of pharaohs and gods. Here's the note breakdown. So Dendera is my favorite from this trio. It really appeals to me from an olfactory point of view and also from an inspiration point of view as well. But specifically now going on to the how it smells to me, I love the sweet and spicy aromas, the woodiness, the resinous elements of this. This is a scent profile that is one of my favorites. I showed the note breakdown, but I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail. The orris butter is actually derived from Morocco. The Rose Absolute is a Bulgarian rose. This is a natural oud oil. It's organic, it's farmed, and is a sustainable oud from Vietnam. And I think this was inspired by Peter's travels in Egypt, the sense of the air, the desert air, and the sand. And I think it's a really fantastic creation. Dendera opens up very dusty. There's a dryness to it. There's a scorched earth accord that I find is in there. The cinnamon is quite noticeable, and I believe from what I've heard Peter say, the cinnamon is the only note that is not natural, which is quite interesting because there aren't many brands out there that just focus on natural ingredients. It's you can feel almost like the bark in your hands. You can feel almost the earth in your hands. But it comes across as very smooth. I don't find this fragrance to be harsh at all. It has some heavy-hitting ingredients, but overall is on the sweeter side, actually, which I really like. Possibly coming from the vanilla and possibly coming from a very smooth East Indian sandalwood accord. It reminds me of a Mysore sandalwood that I've tried from Ensar Oud, which I think is, I can't remember the name, but something like Sandalwood Royale or something along those lines. And it is beautifully creamy and just so natural smelling. It really puts you into a meditative mode. It does feel like you have walked into a temple. They've got incense burning there. There are, trees around you outside of this temple, ancient old trees. And you do feel that you are transported back in time. It's really well made, and I love it when fragrances can be so, I guess you would say, evocative. The oud comes through, and I think it gives this fragrance a spicy, dry wood accord. It's not harsh, it's not skanky, it's not overly leathery. This is very nicely introduced into the fragrance and done in a way that is very well balanced. One fragrance that a lot of people have mentioned when talking about comparisons is Andy Tauer's L'air du désert marocain, and I can see that there are comparisons in style, not in the way that it smells, but certainly in terms of style. I would also throw in another one from Mancera called Sand Oud. And yeah, those two fragrances, if you want an idea of what Dendera smells like and you've tried those two, that might help you sort of get an idea of what this smells like. And maybe also Ryder from Ex Idolo. Dendera is definitely a fantastic creation. As the scent develops, it becomes a little bit more sweet. It also becomes a little bit more, I would say, flatter on my skin, which I guess is a slight negative because I felt it was quite full-bodied in the opening and I kind of wanted that to continue. Maybe you can have too much of a good thing, but later on, yeah, the sweetness comes through. The frankincense is really, really nice and light and a little bit smoky, but also dry at the same time. The sweetness sort of counters this dryness, and I think it's such a nice, I guess, contrast really. But overall, the fragrance doesn't divert too far away from this sweet, smoky, dry, earthy, ambery accord. There's also a powderiness in this dry down, which I imagine maybe comes from the orris. I can't be 100% sure. I think the blending of this fragrance is really, really nice. Overall, you know, Dendera is a very, very well-made fragrance. Dendera has fantastic performance. It really, really sticks to the skin. It doesn't project a huge amount after the opening hour or so. And it also feels like, because this is a more of a challenging fragrance, I wouldn't say that you're going to be reaching for this fragrance all the time. It depends on your life, what you do, your scenarios, the country maybe that you live in. But for me, talking from a personal perspective, I think this is a fragrance that I would want to wear when I just want a scent that I don't particularly care about other people. I'm just thinking about myself. It feels like a very personal scent. That's not to say that it will come across as weird or harsh or strange or put other people off, but I would say just be a little bit considerate when wearing this type of fragrance. Like, you wouldn't do 10 sprays of this and walk into the office, is basically what I'm saying. Overall, I think it's a fantastic creation. It does fall a little bit flat on my skin as the hours go by. I still like what is there, but I was kind of left wanting the opening for that to continue, but still very, very well made, and my rating is 9 out of 10. Okay, now moving on to Gaia. Gaia is, of course, in references the earth that we live in. It is a fragrance that honors the earth and honors natural beauty. It's a fragrance that is made up of a mixture of natural and synthetic oils. And the description on this card: Gaia, aka Gaia in a different spelling, the goddess Mother Earth, this beautiful home we walk upon, filled with life and wonder. From the leaves of the trees to the soil on the ground, the blooming flowers, fruit, and honey from the bees. You know, bees are obviously super important to the world that we live in. Maybe something that's underappreciated, maybe. We are connected and created out of the same earth, a network of unity. Balance, harmony, and diversity is the nature of the earth. The note breakdown, here you go. Green leaves, dry earth, honey, tuberose, rose, lavender, orris butter, apple, cedarwood, wormwood, patchouli, and ambergris. Gaia was a challenging one for me, but in contrast to Dendera, which was instantly likable, Gaia took me a little bit of time to get into it. I figured out very quickly that you don't need to spray too much of this. In fact, a little goes a very, very long way. It's a beast mode fragrance, basically. Lasts for a really, really long time. And the reason I sprayed less is because this opening blast of this honey, beeswax, soily accord, this earthy accord, was just overwhelming for me, and I found it really difficult to deal with and tolerate. So when I sprayed less, actually, yeah, then I really started to appreciate this fragrance, and actually then I started to like it a lot more. The honey note, even though I've just said that I spray less, I still find this honey note to be a little bit suffocating. I feel like I'm drowning in honey and there's a layer of solid beeswax above me and I can't escape. But, you know, if you're into like honey and beeswax and fragrances, this could be like a dream come true for you. For me, it was just a little bit too concentrated in that area. I think this earthy, wet soil accord is actually very, very interesting. It's not my particular thing. It's not something that I look for in fragrances or gravitate towards. But from a compositional nature, from an artistic point of view, this was really, really interesting. Gaia was super unique to me. I've never smelt anything like it. Not saying that there isn't anything out there, but for me, it's, you know, certainly Dendera also is very, very unique. But I would say Gaia is one of the most unique fragrances I've tried. There's a floralness to this fragrance. I know that there is tuberose and rose. I personally couldn't pick those two out, but I get a hint of florals in there. And what's interesting with Gaia is that there is this woody sweet accord, which also existed in Dendera, but in Gaia it comes in the form of honey and woods. So it's, again, dry, sweet, spicy, contrast, just mixing really nicely together. There's cedarwood in here, there's patchouli in here. So yeah, all of that must be contributing to this overall description that I'm trying to get through. It is a fragrance, I have to say, that I did struggle to break down and really pinpoint, and there came a point where I just kind of gave up and just enjoyed it for what it was. We can try and break everything down to the nth degree, but sometimes you just gotta say, you know what, whatever's on my skin, whatever it is, I'm just gonna either just appreciate what it is rather than trying to break everything down. So while I did appreciate Gaia, and I thought, as I said, it's very, very unique, it's not the type of fragrance that I typically go for, and I'm going to give it a rating of 8 out of 10, which is a good score. I'm giving it more on the higher side, mainly because of the concept, the uniqueness of it, the performance. All of that is contributing to this higher score, but on scent alone, not really for me, to be honest. And now we move on to the future, and this one specifically is Proxima, which is the latest release. It came out in March 2020 and was released at the time of the March equinox, which was at 3:49 a.m. I was sleeping, but good to know that it was launched at that time. Proxima is very, very easy to appreciate. It is one that is, I would say, the most mass appealing of the trio. And the description for Proxima, it says here, the constellation Centaurus contains one of the brightest stars in the sky, Centauri, from which the brand is named. Proxima is the closest star of Centaurus, representing the hope of humanity, reaching out to the stars in universal peace, discovering new worlds, new life, growing higher in consciousness and in spirit. The scent is inspired by the air of that world, gazing up at the night sky, at the wonder of the infinite. I'm going to leave a link down below to quite possibly one of the greatest videos I've ever seen. There's a YouTube channel called Stop Talking About Fragrance. He's also on Instagram, or more well known on Instagram, and many of you may have already seen this creation. I'm going to leave the link down below. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to say it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was inspired by Proxima. Definitely go check it out and subscribe to that guy's channel as well. The note breakdown for Proxima is grapefruit, blackcurrant, strawberry, aldehydes, rose, air, white woods, iris, jasmine, and musk. I've heard from Peter that this fragrance was made actually several years ago, and I guess this entire brand has been several years in the works, but this one wasn't actually released. It was like a prototype, I guess. It was called Alpha Musk, but because it didn't comply with IFRA regulations, he had to tweak it and change things up a little bit. So Proxima starts off with this very, very beautiful grapefruit note. It is juicy, sharp, but also light and airy at the same time. Light in the sense of transparency. This fragrance is a very, very transparent fragrance. It's light and airy and spring, summer kind of scent. It's one of those. Very mass appealing, very easy to wear. And it lasts a really long time though. So that's one of the things that I really appreciated from this fragrance. Great performance. Hitting that 8-hour mark, so yeah, no performance issues there. It feels like a casual fragrance for me, and the opening is definitely the best part. As the fragrance later on develops, the fruitier elements come through, and this is actually a part of the fragrance that I don't really like. The reason I don't like it is that it just doesn't smell luxurious to me. It kind of smells like, and I guess this is a negative, it smells like a very, very nice cleaning product. And I couldn't get that out of my head. Every time I wore this, I thought, maybe this is going to change. It's going to maybe transform as the more I wear it, but I could not get that out of my head. And perhaps it's the use of the aroma chemicals, the synthetics in this, that are making me feel like it doesn't smell particularly authentic apart from the grapefruit note. I have heard a lot of praise on Proxima, and a lot of people do like this scent. For me, it's not that I didn't like it. I think it's well made. It is well made, and it does smell nice on my skin. My key issue with this isn't even the cleaning product vibe, because I actually kind of like it, which is a bit strange to say, I realize. But my main issue with this fragrance is that I kind of feel like I would get something very, very similar from Guerlain's Aqua Allegoria line, or something from Atelier Cologne. So Proxima for me I feel like it's a little bit too expensive for what it is, but what it is in terms of scent is this fruity, juicy, slightly powdery, floral, very pretty, very freshly laundered linen kind of fragrance, which actually a lot of people really, really like, but it leaned a little bit too much towards this cleaning product detergent vibe, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So guys, I have to be honest, that is my style. So my rating for Proxima, I would rate it a 7 out of 10. This entire line is definitely worth checking out, and Peter, if you're watching this video, what an amazing job that you've done. I am so impressed. I'm really, really looking forward to future releases into this brand. I'm definitely at some point will pick up a bottle. Maybe I'll wait till future releases, or I don't know. I'm leaning towards Dendera, but we'll see how it goes. I definitely think I will get a bottle, because I think you deserve it, and I think you deserve the recognition. I think you've put an incredible amount of work, and it comes with a lot of risk as well, and probably a lot of stress and a lot of trials and tribulations, but I think you deserve all the success, and I hope everything's going well with this brand and with yourself. And yeah, over to you guys. Have you tried this line? What do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts on the concept or the individual fragrances. How would you rate them? Whatever you have to say, say it. I look forward to hearing from you. If you like this type of content, like and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram also. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Bye.